Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, Top 1 Financial Advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Today we need to talk about Amazon's $3.9 billion deal to buy One Medical. So in this video we need to talk about what One Medical is, what this could mean for Amazon, and how does this play into Amazon's broader business strategy. So first, I'll tell you what One Medical is in case you didn't know, because I did not know, and I'll just put this description here, and this is from CNN. One Medical is a membership based primary care service that promises customers 24/7 access to virtual care. They operate in a few dozen markets. They work with 8,000 companies. That's what they do. Now the thing here is, on the bright side, the idea for some people is Amazon already owns Whole Foods. Therefore, I could just put medical services that I already own inside of Whole Foods. The same way that I feel like every Walmart Supercenter has a McDonald's and an eye care spot inside of it for whatever reason. They also have a bank sometimes in there. So you've got a place where people can go and be healthy and check their health and then go buy healthy foods. Fine. I don't necessarily know if that is something that is absolutely transformative. One Medical is a small player in the broader telehealth space. That doesn't make it good nor bad, but it's just something to note. Now, my bigger concern is this. Amazon One has been expanding quite aggressively since the Whole Foods thing. They bought three big things, or they made three big purchases. You had Whole Foods, which I think was $13.7 billion, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so they agreed to buy Whole Foods. That was in 2017 for $13.7 billion. Then they bought Hollywood movie studio MGM. We talked about that because one, these are two big things. $13.7 billion for Whole Foods, $8.5 for MGM. Okay, so that's a lot of money going out, but that part I'm not concerned about. It's the width of the company at this point. Usually, you want to get very good at one thing. Logistics is Amazon's thing. They make sure you get your stuff on a timely basis. I've gotten whatever package I order from Amazon, it's going to get there. I can't say the same for UPS and FedEx from time to time. But outside of that, it's difficult to manage, or I'll put it this way. The more that you buy these new things, the more problems you get. Okay, so if I were to buy one house has different issues. Okay, that could be good or bad. I can manage those issues. That's totally fine. Then I buy a new car that have a different set of issues that I need to deal with. And then I buy an airplane that's a different set of issues to deal with. Now, can I manage those issues? Do I have the right people in place to manage those issues? Maybe, maybe not. But it does open me to new risk. When I just owned a home and nothing else, I didn't have to worry about gas prices. I didn't care because that wasn't something that I needed to run my home. Now I have to worry about, because I own a jet, and I don't own a jet in real life, but I get the point. Because I own a jet and a car, now I have to care about oil prices. Now, because if I'm flying, I have to worry about air turbulence. And it's like all of these things, I gotta worry about traffic now. Like the more things I get, the more problems that I have to deal with. Could be good or could be bad. So now, just instead of just worrying about online stuff and just being a good online retailer, I now have to worry about a grocery store, which can help me because now people can order food. They also bought PillPack in 2018, which helps them to, and an online pharmacy came out of that, so people can deliver their drugs as well. Makes sense. And now as you consider that, right, I get my groceries, my stuff, my pharmacy, my pharmaceutical needs, and I can also get just a checkup or whatever else I need. That does align well. I think that does feel nice if you're someone like an Amazon, but it does bring additional issues. So that's the kind of the long and short of it. But here's the thing that concerns me the most. While it does make sense where I can get food, groceries, medicine, and my a healthcare provider all in one spot, it's not the first time that Amazon has tried to go into the healthcare space. And the last time they did it, it didn't go well. Most people don't remember this, but I actually did, because I've been doing this for a while. I did a video a long time ago. You can probably find this one on Facebook, where JP Morgan, Berkshire Hathaway, and Amazon teamed together to try and make a health company. I think it was called Haven. Let me double check that. Yeah, it was called Haven, and it shuttered. It closed. It went out of business in 2021. And I feel like nobody really talked about that. That did happen. I'll actually put the screenshot here because I feel like some people are like, oh yeah, they did talk about that, but they actually didn't do it. So it's just interesting. Just because they buy this, assuming it gets approved, which it probably will, it's not a guarantee it's going to make Amazon transformative, and not a guarantee that it's going to work to the effect that a lot of people think it would. It makes sense on paper, but there are still a lot of factors that can weigh down Amazon. And I think I've said this before, I think they're getting a little too wide, where you've got Amazon Web Services, you've got a grocery store, you deliver groceries, fine. You bought a studio so that you can help with your Prime content, that's fine. And now you got a pharmacy business, and now you're trying to do a healthcare business on top of that. That's a wide net to cast, and it's hard to manage all these things at the same time. And what we see happening is that when you grow to a certain point and you have all these different business sectors and business units, sometimes you have to end up spinning those companies off and breaking them apart to help your business to continue to grow. We saw this with Kellogg, where I think Kellogg was making more money, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because I'm doing this from memory, Kellogg's was making more money from its snack business. Cereal wasn't doing anything, and their plant-based business was kind of shaky. And if I'm looking at just Kellogg as a whole, I see only one sector out of the three that are growing. Therefore, I'm like, I'm focused on the negative here, and Kellogg is not going to grow from a stock perspective, not going to grow in the way that it should. You get judged because you're weighed down in other areas. Therefore, they said, look, let me split these up so that if my snack business is growing 10% a year, people will love that. Investors will love that. People will buy the stock, and everybody gets paid. And I'm not worried about the cereal. It does what it does. I don't care. I don't own it anymore. I split it out. As well as the plant-based. I split it out, and it does whatever it wants to do. Well, in this case, I've got Amazon Prime Video that I'm comparing with Hulu and Netflix and Disney Plus, and it's going to do whatever it does. But what if you told me that Prime Video subscriptions have surpassed Netflix and Disney Plus combined? That would be amazing for them to do. But the e-retail business, right? They're one of their main bread and butters. People stop ordering from Amazon as a whole, and that's down 15%. How would you react as an investor? The streaming service is up, but people aren't ordering from Amazon as much anymore. I don't know, right? If they were separate, I can evaluate those differently and I can react differently. But if they're all together, different story. What if we find out that they spent $3.9 billion on healthcare, and they have PillPack, and that sector doesn't do well? Then what, right? How do you evaluate the healthcare part of this compared to everything else? It makes it harder to evaluate. And I won't say it confuses investors, but at some point that question is going to come up. At what point do they spin off one or two of these business lines to really streamline the focus of the company? It's going to get more difficult the bigger they get and the wider out that they go. There's still upsides, and I mentioned that as well. This does stack if you're at a grocery store, subscriptions, and healthcare services all in one, and maybe I can sign in with my Amazon password or something. That's all well and fine. There is value there. I could see how that could work, but I also saw how it worked last time, and you partnered with Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan and Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. They should know what's going on. Now, the last thing I'll mention here is this, which is interesting. Tech companies, we've already talked about Amazon's exploits or explorations rather in trying to get into healthcare, but tech companies are moving more aggressively into the healthcare space. You know that Apple, with their Apple Watch and fitness apps, they're trying to move there, and they've been making some inroads in understanding your health data, which has a positive and a negative there. We also know that Google bought Fitbit, trying to move into that healthcare space as well. And then I've already talked about the ways that Amazon is trying to do the same. So healthcare is something, ironically enough. I've also been talking about a lot of healthcare stocks, just throwing it out there. Warren Buffett also owns a bunch of healthcare stocks. He sold AbbVie. I don't know why. We had talked about that as well. So the fact that Amazon and Apple and Google and JP Morgan tried to even start a healthcare venture does mean something. Everybody seems to know that healthcare is a spot that is not going anywhere and is at least a place for future growth. So that's out there. So that's one thing that I did note, but I'm not sure at this point in time whether or not this is yes, I need to absolutely go out and buy Amazon. I already hold it, but I'm not excited about Amazon. In fact, Amazon is down 17% in the last 6 months compared to 11% for the stock market just the last 6 months. And then when I zoom back and look at an entire year, Amazon is down 30% compared to about 8% for the S&P 500. It has underperformed for at least the last 2 years in a row. And I'm not sure if this deal is going to make them leaps and bounds better than their competition, or even get them back up to par where they should be, where, you know, Amazon and Amazon, but Google and Microsoft and others, which is where they are used to being. And it's why I sold half, not all, but it's why I sold half of my Amazon shares, because it's not Amazoning like it used to Amazon anymore. And part of that could be because they're expanding to so many different areas, and it may not make as much sense as what it used to. So those are my thoughts. The last thing I'll say too is next week, July 28th, is when they're supposed to announce their earnings. That's when I'll really have a better understanding for the company and a more recent update for where they are and how I feel about their business, and also the size of their business, right? I was talking about, their Prime business and their regular e-retail and Amazon Web Services. It's easier to see with fresh numbers how big these things are to each other, to give you a sense of relativity and how much each contributes to the bottom line of the company. So those are just my high level thoughts, some quick things that I noticed. I didn't see a whole bunch of information other than the fact that, hey, this is what they're doing, and that was just kind of the end of it. But hopefully in next week's earnings call, we'll find out a lot more. If you have any questions about it, feel free to let me know. Also, if you like these types of high-level breakdowns, you are going to love the members only section. That link is down here. We are going to cover a few more companies, and if you have a company that you want us to cover, feel free to put it in the comments below. All right, that's it for me. Talk to you later. Bye.